Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my bi-weekly review for this week's issue of the Walking Dead comic book series. This week was released the final part of the All Out War story arc, part 12 of 12, issue 126. Alright, good stuff. So as always, my reviews do contain spoilers for anyone who has not read The Walking Dead issue 126 yet. All Out War finally comes to an end, and, it went pretty much how I predicted originally. Now, I did kind of go back and forth on it, did some Negan death prediction videos, and talking about whether or not I thought Negan would die throughout the All Out War story arc at the end of it. And, that's because that's kind of what happened with the Governor. The Governor had about the same amount of issues, and then when it all came down to it, the big battle at the end of the prison, the Governor is killed off. So I think it makes sense that Kirkman would keep Negan alive, because if he was to kill him, that would be pretty formulaic. That's kind of what you would expect, and he always likes to go the other direction. So if we're all expecting Negan's going to get killed at the end of the war, he'll go the other route, and Negan will survive. So I thought that was really cool. And at the same time, Rick does win. So not flawlessly. I mean, of course, he's injured, very heavily injured. But he does defeat Negan, and I think it makes a lot of sense. At first, when I was reading it the first time over, I was like, up until about the last few pages, I was kind of like, where's he going with this? Why would Rick leave him alive? It doesn't make sense. It's out of character, because he hasn't done that in the past before. But then, on the final couple pages, when you realize that he notices that Negan is actually awake and he can hear what's going on. And he basically tells him that he's going to rot in a jail cell until he's old. And he's going to witness, as sort of like Rick has overcome him as an obstacle in rebuilding this society, he's going to witness firsthand Rick rebuild or the society be rebuilt up from where it's at right now, because the community's huge. The community that Rick has now with this joined group is the biggest they've ever had, by far. It really is starting to look like there's enough people here that, yeah, they're probably going to be able to survive. Rather than before, where it was always there was this struggle for survival, and a herd could come through and all these different things could happen. It's starting to feel like now they have so many people that this is a huge community of, I mean, how many would we say? If you combine Dwight's, I guess they're his saviors now, probably around 100, over 100 people. It is a huge group, a rebirth of society. And I kind of thought this is where Kirkman was going with the story. And the reason why we follow Rick eventually is to get to this kind of a point where in his lifetime, his work is going to restart society again. And the long term of The Walking Dead won't just be about a survival horror with small groups of people, but we follow Rick for some kind of eventual end where he's going to do something great in his life. Those are the kind of stories I like to read personally, just to kind of give you an overall opinion on the overall story of The Walking Dead. I'd rather we not follow somebody and have them just survive and just treading water, but not actually getting anywhere with what they're doing. That to me would feel like I'm reading this kind of for no reason, because they're not really accomplishing anything. They're not achieving anything. And I really like The Walking Dead, probably my favorite story ever I've ever read, that they're actually, overcoming this insane obstacle that is a zombie apocalypse, and even other groups with characters like Negan. I'm sure there'll be more in the future with bigger societies and different problems like this, and over the long term they're still able to build back this huge society. So that part right there is pretty much my favorite part of the issue, is that it's starting to look like in the long term that's where Kirkman's going with this. Absolutely brilliant. So I really like that. Now, the whole thing with him letting Negan live and not killing him off right away, I kind of predicted. If you guys watch my videos, at first, now I kind of went back and forth, but at first I was pretty clear that I thought that it was too early to kill Negan because he's too interesting. He's too good of a bad guy. He's too much of a nemesis for Rick. And we had that with the Governor. The Governor's dead. With Negan, if you give him a quick death, now I'm on Rick's side with this one. If you give him a quick death, that's just like it's over. Make him suffer. Keep him alive for what he's done, for killing, major spoilers right now, okay, for killing somebody, I'll just say it that way, for killing that one particular important character to us who'd been around from, almost the very beginning in The Walking Dead, pretty much the beginning, and all the others he's killed, all the trouble he's caused for Rick's group, it does make sense to me that Rick wouldn't just want to kill him off right away, and he'd want to keep him around to basically just, kind of not really torture him, because Rick's not the type of person that's going to torture him. They're not going to flay him or anything, but to sort of just keep him alive in some kind of jail. I mean, he was a police officer to begin with, so I think this is in character. Granted, he's gone the other way before, but he is a police officer and he tries to do what's right. He's basically got Negan at this point. Negan is helpless. Negan has no power. He's lost all his power. His group's been taken over by Dwight, who is on Rick's side, and Rick has the numbers. Rick has him under control, handcuffed, down, and out, basically. So he's harmless at this time. And also, it helps the story, too, because then later on, they could use Negan again for something. Because he's such a fun character, he's so interesting, he could kind of fade into the background in a jail cell for a while, and then maybe eventually they could have him escape, or they could have, they could use him, because he is a strong leader himself. Just his tactics are kind of similar to the governor, and in a kind of an evil type of leader, evil type of way. Hitler's a good example of, in history, a leader that was able to convince a whole nation to follow him, but his lead was pretty evil when you consider the things that he was doing and the things he did. Negan is kind of similar that way, although he's a lot more happier and jolly than Hitler was kind of miserable, but but that's besides the point. But anyway, I think it's a lot more interesting for the story that they keep Negan alive and that he's been defeated. So I really like the direction and the direction of Rick's speech to kind of let everyone know that the real enemy here is the dead. It shouldn't be other groups, even though I'm sure in the future we're going to see other groups. But I really like sort of the way this gives us kind of a snapshot in the macro of what we're seeing with this overall story. Incredible. So two good things. We're starting to see that building of a society that Rick is doing. Reason why we follow Rick, to see that makes sense to me. It's worth it to read through all these issues and stick with it to see Rick recreate this kind of restart humanity, basically, after a zombie apocalypse. And then on the other side, the other version of that, or the other thing about it that I like so much, is that Negan has been defeated and is still alive, so he hasn't been killed off. So he's still a great character that can be used in the future, and a great bad guy that's not completely out of the Walking Dead universe if he was killed. So I like that as well, too. Even though it could go either way. I mean, you could see Rick just killing Negan right away, right? That would make sense, too. But this way, you kind of would think that he's so evil, kind of like the governor, that since he's in this kind of position, Rick would want him to suffer. Rick would want to, have him there to die an old man in jail, based on what his actions, what he did before. A quick death might be too easy for him. So, that's kind of going easy. It'd be better to make him suffer and see how wrong he really was, by example. So I like the writing. And like I said, Rick was a police officer too, so I think that's in character still. I do, because he wants to uphold what's right. Negan's powerless at this time, so rather than just killing him right away out of desperation, I think Rick sees how much power this group has, and that they don't really need to do that anymore. Now they can institute some kind of jail system, some kind of prison system, and they can do that, put people away, similar to how we have in real world society. Rather than just killing everybody that's a criminal or kills somebody, which some states do, it's a hot topic. Do they death row or other states, and like in Canada here, the death penalty, does it make it right for us to kill them if they killed somebody else? All these interesting questions come into play. So it could go either way. Like in the States, some states go that route and death row. Other states say no. We don't do that. So in Canada, like where I live, we don't do that at all. So I could see it going either way with a character like Rick, and I still think it's in character. My opinion. So I really enjoyed all of that. I like to see Michonne in there, Andrea in there, and Dwight. I've kind of thought that Dwight might be the comic book version of Daryl, and Kirkman's just trolling us. He's putting it in there. He's trolling us because he's given him a similar name, similar fighting style, and it's like nobody knows it. It's like nobody recognizes that, and we don't know anything about Dwight's background, right? And he certainly looks like he could play the part of Daryl. I mean, his costume and everything, his getup, his look. it's kind of like Dwight's the comic book version of Daryl. I'm just putting it out there. I mean, until we see something different that really separates him, that makes him completely different from Daryl, I'm going to go ahead and say that Daryl is the comic book version, or Dwight is the comic book version of Daryl. I'm just going to say it. Aside from the burned face and everything, but who knows? We could see that in the TV series later. Maybe if Daryl gets captured or something, and that happens to him as part of Negan's group or something. Who knows? But I'm going to just put it out there. I think that's where he's going, and I think he's trolling us. I'm just saying. So that's cool. I like Dwight. I like that he's going to take charge, going to take control of the Saviors group. And altogether, if they're in allegiance with Rick's group, you have a massive group of over 100 people. Incredible to see the story go from how small at some points, like in the TV series this year, second half of season 4, where you just have like at one point Rick and Carl by themselves, Michonne by herself. They meet up and the group starts to kind of come back together, to where we're at right now in the story. Over the long term, definitely not a disappointment. I've enjoyed following Rick all the way through, enjoyed seeing all of those trials and tribulations all the way up until now, and really like how this whole macro of the Walking Dead story is turning out overall. Amazing stuff. So that said, anyway, with regards to Rick's injury now, of course, Negan broke his leg. This is really nitpicky. This is a MMA nitpicky thing that I have. Charlie Adler probably doesn't know this, but the way he draws it, I'm almost positive you can't break someone's leg that way unless you're like a monster. And we get the sense that Negan's really strong and Rick is kind of frail this time because their nutrition's not the best. So we'll give him a pass for it, but technically, if you want to break someone's leg, the right way would be to hook the leg under the arm, lay back, and put your legs around and snap around the knee, where the joint comes together is more weak. The middle of the leg, the bone is so hard, you wouldn't be able to break it this way with pushing. You would have to go the other way and use your body weight and lean up and pull back. So that's how you break someone's leg. Anyway, the proper technique to break someone's leg. So life lessons, important life lessons. If you want to break someone's leg, kids, here's what you. It is what it is. But anyway, we'll give it a pass. The point is that he broke his leg. So we get that. It's even if it anatomically doesn't look right to me anyway. But anyway, we'll just give that a pass. I'm probably like one of the only people that notice that as something a little silly that you. Anyway, so that's something. Aside from that, All Out War, or the double story arc, maybe I'll do a review for the whole thing, kind of like an overall review for the double the story arc, the 12 issues. They were incredible. I really enjoyed it, and The Walking Dead is all about change, right? You don't want to have any kind of repetition with the groups just killing each other down to the point where we're in a prison type situation again, where there's only like, I don't know, 10 or 20 survivors from Rick's group, and the groups have killed each other right down to the point where there's almost nobody left, which is what some people probably thought was going to happen. I like the other route, so that over the long term we're seeing a real gradual change in Rick being the leader that's going to restart humanity. Not without injury, though. Of course, now he's missing the hand, and his leg is busted. It looks like they were able to realign it and everything and seat it, so hopefully it will heal over, but I guess we'll see. It kind of seems like over time Rick is just getting broken down more and more and more. He's probably not the type of survivor nowadays with his injuries that is going to be out there running around killing walkers and that kind of stuff. He probably could, but it kind of seems more like he's going to be the leader that is going to kind of sit back and control the overall society that they're restarting. So awesome stuff. There's my review. Went on for a little long there. Sorry about that, guys. But I hope you enjoyed the reviews for All Out War. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you have any video suggestions for the Walking Dead comic book series. I love doing comic book series videos. I do as many as I can pretty much do, along with the television series. It's just that there's more people that watch the TV series versus people that read the comics. It's only like us hardcore Walking Dead fans that read the comics week to week every time, or I mean month to month or bi-weekly every time they're released the first day. So thank you guys for sticking with me. I hope you liked the review. I hope you enjoyed the issues of The Walking Dead, and maybe I'll do some kind of overall review of the overall story of The Walking Dead, because I think this one really gave us a good snapshot of where the story's going. Do some predictions on the future for the overall long-term story of The Walking Dead. Great stuff. Absolutely great stuff. Anyway, I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, as always. I'm saying peace. Damn, forgot to give it a score. Okay, so I'm going to give this one a 9.5 out of 10. I thought it was really solid, went different from how you'd expect it to go. An absolute great issue. Almost forgot that. So there's the score. Anyway, now I'm saying peace.